like a couple of decades back. Digitization, okay, people usually confuse digital transformation with digitization and digitalization. Now, if you ask me, the difference between digital transformation, now a lot of companies are spending, like there are a lot of money being in the pot where they say, okay, we need to digitally transform ourselves so that our customers can make sure they get our business. You want to share the previous slide once? Okay, there is nothing in this slide. This is only just a picture. So what digital transformation happening is, or what is digital transformation? Basically, it means we are not just looking at inclusion or injecting a new technology into the. What happens basically is whenever a new technology is there in the market, now like AI is in the market. I can similarly correlate in 2016, 2017 when blockchain was in market. Everybody wanted to go behind blockchain, but what is the value that blockchain is bringing into the? Okay, you want to go through the agenda? Fine. So business agility in digital transformation is our topic. So that is what we'll be looking forward to, Madam Raji, Madam. Okay. Fine. So can I move forward, Raji, Madam? And yeah, so to highlight, many companies or many people think that, okay, if a company says we are AI or we are having the latest technology, that doesn't necessarily mean success or a successful business transformation. Because when you look at Fortune 500 company, we are having, I mean, the wrong assumption. Yeah, this is what I was telling. Now, whenever companies tend to move, now if I take an example of telecommunication company is basically a company which normally comes with a history of lot of mergers and acquisitions. Now I'm sure all of you would have heard about Videocon, which was there during, might be 25 years back, during our college days, and Videocon was there, then BPL was there. BPL took over Videocon, and then at a later stage Hutch came and took over BPL, and then Hutch was also taken over by Vodafone. And now Vodafone and Idea is having a merger, so it's called VI. Now, if you look at it, what we just saw is actually the life cycle of one company and how the company is evolving into different business model based on the business need of the hour. So it's not that once I start a company, it will only be steady fast at that. Any change inside the company which is helping it to transform its business model, revenue model, process, people, that's all coming under the radar of digital transformation. Okay, so many organizations, and now the focus of organization, or now the focus of value is more towards the customer experience. Now the customer experience is something which we were very less aware during our time. There was personalization. Thank you, Rajivan. So now customer experience is something which we will definitely need to look more into, because we are living in an era of hyper personalization. There is a lot of technologies, but did they all succeed? No. If you ask me, Metaverse was a personalization attempt from Facebook and its founder Mark Zuckerberg. However, that did not succeed. Why? Because the people were not ready to adopt. Because after COVID, they wanted to get out, and they did not want their avatars in the virtual world to go to shop and do the shopping for them. So that was something which companies overlooked, and $1 billion was down the drain. All right. So that is something that we look at. Now the drivers of this particular this thing will be mostly customer experience. That's what CX stands for, and innovation and time to market. So what we say is, the faster the time to market, yes, faster time to market is what agility stands for, or what agility looks for, because ultimately we need to have a key point indicator in place. Because when we look at the faster go to market, faster enablers, faster accelerators, that is what we think is bringing agility. However, agility is not just a inclusion of tools and frameworks, it's also the mindset of the people inside the organization, because every organization is now a learning organization. Now, if you look at IT company, if you look at TCS as a company, what is TCS? TCS is a collection of people and their intellectual capacity. So the most valuable asset inside TCS is its own people and the ideas that they generate. And definitely there is technology inclusion, there is technology to add functionalities to the digital race. However, it is not that the company is only surviving on technology. The technology is only a very small part of it. Integrating the technology and how do we bring in value is a major part of it. All right. So that is how now. Yeah, this is again another reality. Now, digital transformation. Many companies which are really huge, when they go for a digital transformation, like just imagine this case which I said. Now, different companies merge, and now I'm currently working in a transformation project where they are trying to reduce 600 applications into 200 applications. Now, how did it become 600 applications? It became with the help of mergers, with the help of acquisitions, one company taking over, one company releasing another company. So spin-off, mergers, acquisitions, lot of financial jargon terms, which we will never understand why it was done, because it could have been easily that it just to create a distraction in the profit and loss statement, or to just give an idea to the stakeholders that, okay, we are taking over an IT company so that we increase our productivity, and we will be able to, so this time we will not be able to give you the dividend of the shares that you have in place. Okay, so long story short, many companies fail in their digital transformation. And what is digital transformation allowing? Or if you look at the bigger picture, one is the workplace, the digital workplace strategy for staff. We need to digitize the back office process. Now, this is where I really want you to be looking at, because digitalization, and digital transformation are three different things. Okay, and then we need to have a clearly articulated digital strategy in place. And what does a strategy mean? How is strategy different from tactic? Now, if I create, or if I ask all of you to earlier days, I remember the faculty development program used to happen in one college, where you had to take leave, where you had to come to colleges, and you had to attend that 2 days or 3 days workshop. Now things have changed. Now the strategy of the college is changed, that so that many people can attend. Now imagine if a college is saying, no, 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 we will stick on to our traditional method. It is very difficult. We will arrange. There's a lot of logistics and administration challenges in arranging this place, and then people will have to travel all over. But for this 2 hours of workshop, so that's a digital strategy of the particular, and this particular strategy has not been adopted after our COVID days, when we started understanding that technology can really help us save time. Okay. And now, then coming to supporting for a digital organization culture, we need to have the training for digital skills, and then comes the cybersecurity and the digital risk era. Okay, now what are the top obstacles we have? We can't adopt. I'm sure all of you would have heard about A/B testing, where we say, okay, we are making a small change in a website or in a particular mobile application, and then we are deploying it, and then we are checking how much is it being reciprocated. Is it good, bad? Can we accommodate it? Are my customers happy about it? Is my CSAT score, that's the customer satisfaction score, is it good enough? Or the net promoter score, another metric. So we all need metrics in our era. So, but the obstacles for a digital transformation is, one is the risk averse culture. That is, I remember the days, or in fact, I can give you the same example. LIC has a mainframe system in its backend, and we used to go. We told them that, okay, we can change this mainframe to a wonderful front end graphical user interface. They said, no, this is not required, because you just put the front end into a Java, you have a UI in place, and then the backend mainframe, it can interact on its own. So there are different strategies, because if you ask me, LIC doesn't need to go into that level where they have all these digital technologies, the digital analytics, because it's not required. Okay, so at times we need to make sure that whether this particular change is required, whether it's really bringing the value that is essential, whether it's making the people's life easy, and this people needn't just be the end users of the product. When it comes to LIC, each LIC policy holder or life is being made easy, as well as the LIC users at the office. All right. So we need to make sure that what is really relevant. And then inadequate collaboration between IT and the lines of business, because multiple times digital transformation, as I said earlier, is a gimmick or seen as a organizational strategy which has to be communicated. Because if you look at the P&L statement of the companies these days, everything will have AI in place. Every report will have AI. But are they really using AI? Is AI really bringing the value that is relevant, or that is coming in? Okay, because AI usage has a cost incurred, and this cost is in terms of the token cost it is to be purchased. But then, is it bringing the value that is relevant, or is it supporting my business? Now, let me give you an example which you can correlate. If you would have seen the nearest ATM, the purpose of an ATM is to give you money or dispense money. It's an automated teller machine where you will be able to go, you are swiping a plastic card, and then you will get to know that how much is my balance, how much money can I generate. it needn't have a latest operating system Windows machine there to dispense your money. All right. So in order for the business to run, you need not have the latest machine. It's again couple of things. That is, if I'm investing this particular technology, will it give me a return on investment? All right. Then fear of technology is hindering transformation. Now, trust me, there is a report which is being circulated that 95% of the enterprises which has adopted AI as its strategical strategy has failed. Why? Because artificial intelligence or generative AI, I would call it generative AI, because AI as a holistic term, because when we say generative AI, we are talking about large language models, we are talking about a probabilistic system, not a deterministic system, which will give you different results at different time. It's just like my angry spouse. She might today she is very sweet to me. It will give me one response. Tomorrow she is very angry with me. She will give me another response based on my prompt and how the tokens are seeing it. All right. So now, so many companies are not in favor of the digital transformation because they feel that it's something that my customers might dislike, because I do not know, or I don't want the status quo to change, because we are all resistant to change. We are all resistant to change. And if today Adi Shankara says that, okay, all the teachers must generate their presentations through generative AI only, then gone. Because till yesterday, it was a different process that we were being followed. And today, the college has brought in a new process. But this process, whether it will bring up a value or not, is something which we have to look into. Now, digital transformation is still a missed opportunity for more. Okay, now in TCS terms, migrating from an on-premise to a cloud, my on-premise server to a cloud server, is a digital transformation. Okay. However, when war came, okay, imagine when war came, people are talking about sovereign cloud, which means they need a cloud which is in their country or which is in their premises. And China already has this policy. If you go to host a website in China, they will tell, we will host the server in our country. Whatever happens outside has to be replicated. If it's a website that is being hosted outside, it has to be mimicked in our country, and whatever change that is happening is to be mimicked. So now tell me, is having an on-premise server within the country beneficial? At times of war, it is beneficial. At times of scaling up, where you need to reduce the cost, pay as you use, software as a service, cloud is really beneficial. So that is, I would say, digital transformation is a missed opportunity for still many companies, because when they look for merger, when they look for acquisitions, when they look for collaboration which is beneficial, then digital transformation is certainly something. Now, the top 500 companies, many are still struggling with this particular terminology. That is the digital transformation. Now, we are looking at, now, if you look at the Fortune 500 companies, many companies cannot change at that fast, cannot change that speed, at that speed where the organization or the CIO or the CTO is expecting it to. And now, if you ask me, in TCS, TCS is training all of us in generative AI, in AI. We have levels like E1, E2, E3, E4. Now, TCS is telling all of you have to be trained. And TCS is giving us, and there is this 5 levels of autonomy which TCS has in place, wherein we are trying to become I'm sure all of you know that TCS is trying to become one of the world's largest AI-enabled service provider. Now, the question is, can TCS only be that with the help of people alone? No. We have also started looking into data center, correct? Now, this data center is for people to have their own large language models. Now, can that particular large language model be a strategy? Yes. LLM can be a strategy if it can be done at the right price. Now, I'm talking about the economics of it. Now, if the economy fails, then digital transformation is definitely going to be a pain point. In one of the top 10, you saw that out of the 8 or 9 point, which said cost. Now, if there is too much cost, which is on my balance sheet, then gone. My stakeholders will, or my board of directors will, they will tell this was totally an unwanted step. All right. So now, what is really happening? Let's see. Now, there is a lot of confusion. People are investing. The root causes are shaking organization. Now every organization. Now, if you ask me, after 2023, when Sam Altman and the OpenAI came up with GPT, I believe it was 3.5. People are really confused. Should I be following them? Should I be not following them? And initially, when he said the narrative that, okay, I will, this is for the benefit of humankind, we don't need to be a profit-generating organization, then everybody was happy. But at a later stage, he was later seen to be joining hands with Microsoft, and then Microsoft had the upper hand. So now it was being monetized. Then it came into the revenue models again. See, billions are being spent to train the model. All right. Now, when I say billions are being spent, the current economics of any product is that once you don't have a return on investment, it is going to be disastrous. So that's a digital transformation that we are looking at. Now, if you ask me, companies have always gone through such eras, and there is this Gartner's hype cycle which speaks about many such technologies. I would strongly appeal to all of you that you have a look at the Gartner's hype cycle, because when you look into the hype cycle, you will understand that many technologies, like if I go 10 years back, there was something called as a Hadoop. Now, Hadoop, the big elephant, the big yellow elephant, was kind of a threat to other technologies like the ETL technologies, like the data stage, the Informatica, etc. However, today Hadoop is no longer being spoken about because we are all developing data centric, because we have the Kubernetes, we have the Docker, in which the images can be generated, and if all you need is just the change of the data at the right point of time. So we have our headless architecture, or our independent architectures have really helped us transform. But then there came a risk of threat. Then the digital transformation was more towards the middleware, and they said, okay, MuleSoft is the future. So trust me, all this future terminologies are being brought by companies which has a product, and they want to establish the value of the product. But the value of the product is only established when there is sufficient adoption in the market. And this adoption is what we fail to see in metaverse. Okay, because metaverse said, okay, instead of you going, you just put a glass in place where you will see your avatar going to the shop, but your avatar can't go and get a haircut for you, correct? So that is what companies tend to overlook. Okay, now the truth is, I just put this because I really like this quote. It is what is adaptable to change, because it's not what we want to forecast, but it is more like it's not that difficult to understand, because I have 3 kids, and if my spouse is unable to make what my 3 kids like, then we are looking at buying more from outside food. Okay, in terms of food I'm talking. So the change or adapting to change, and then it is more like a push and pull. Now, if we are able to pressurize our kids to eat healthy, to eat what is being cooked at home rather than bringing what from outside, then it's more of a behavioral change that we are bringing. Okay, so it's more of a flexible world. It's more like telling, when it comes to an organization also, it's the same principle that works. Okay. Now, digital Darwinism, it's again another very interesting theory which I really like about, where it says the business model, the revenue model is something which has to adapt. And what is actually happening is, lot of technology, lot of things are in place, but it was really surprising when I went for a training, and they were telling us about AI Copilot, what all Copilot can be do, and we were surprised that we were not using all this. So if you look at the bottom, the business productivity and what the technology change productivity forecast is in 2 different directions. Okay, and that is because the people are not ready to accommodate it. See, when we got AI, if you ask me, we are still using AI as a as a Google, as another Google. And I've seen people asking AI like the same questions that we used to ask Google, which is the best course for design. And I said, don't do that, because we are so much accustomed to using Google for asking things like, okay, which is the best course for design in the market available now. Google will give us a certain set of response, but AI is not meant for that purpose. Today you will give one response, today you will get another, and tomorrow you might get another response. So the potential for a business to perform is not just on the technology, but making sure that the entire company knows where you're going, the entire people knows where you're going, and the company adopts to what is being given to you. Okay, if CEO's vision is not percolated to the last employee in the organization in terms of its strategy, in terms of its digital transformation methods, and in terms of the tools, then it's going to be disastrous. He might invest millions in a AI license, But if the people bottom are not using AI license for the purpose in which he is envisioned it, then we are not looking at a digital transformation change. We are only looking at a vision that has gone wrong, right? So when it comes to mobile sensors, AI computing, technology change is compound. It's not straight. It's not tangential in place. We are looking at leaps and bounds of change coming together. But if you look at it, similar thing happened for blockchain. Everybody was in the race. I remember taking so many sessions. Colleges were introducing that. There are even courses for blockchain. Even Kerala government was introducing blockchain. But then what happened? It never came to the sustainability level. That is, after the hype it created, it was not able to sustain the revenue generation. People couldn't adopt it. We couldn't think of a deflationary economy which our blockchain or Bitcoin blockchain would have run. And Bitcoin became a digital asset. Then there was a lot of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and then there was even tokens which were like monkeys, puppies. Everything was there. I mean, it's a technology, but it was used for a purpose which couldn't sustain itself. People lose interest. So what happens is, when it comes to AI, also there is a buzz in the market. Okay, this can be done, that can be done. There is a lot of hackathons, paper writings, etc., etc. But then, once the dust settles, this is what remains. Now, this has been there throughout the history. This is nothing new. In 2000, we had the dot-com bubble burst. In 2007, we had the subprime mortgage crisis. But after the dust settles, that is, there are some companies after the dot-com bubble was every company, every XYZ used to have a website. But after that, after the dot-com bubble burst, companies, whatever remained, Amazon remained, Flipkart remained. So all that companies added value, or they really saw what the people required. All right. So, so what is really happening is technology, individuals, business model, and public policy. Everything has to move in a similar fashion for the complete. Now there are external factors as well as there are internal factors. Okay. Now public policy is an external factor. Now if you look at it, governments are not in a position to change things really quick. Now AI came into place, but GDPR, SOC standards, HIPAA, it all requires a certain level of data privacy. Now does AI know that? No. AI doesn't know that. But then AI is a technology which is really adding value. Yes, it is really adding value. That's the reason why you see technology going in a curved fashion, much ahead of individuals and business. Now, individuals are people like us who learn, and we are not learning in that pace as the technology is expecting us to, because we are only looking at what is sustainable in the market. If you ask me, the R&D, TCS is not much investing into R&D. What TCS is doing is whatever is there in the market, how can we add value to customer? Then we go ahead. We are not much of a product creators, but there are products which inside TCS, which we believe is adding value. But when it comes to the AI, what actually happens is AI is actually looking at creating value as a co-pilot. That is, you are the decision maker. Enabling you to take decisions is what AI really does. So if you are looking at creating agents, or if you're looking at creating decisions, or if you're looking at getting options out of which decisions can be taken, that is where individuals are really benefiting out of it. And businesses, they are in fact much more behind individuals, and they will not be able to catch up with the technological change where the business agility can be 100% achieved. So there are companies where, I mean, in fact, I remember some of my customers telling, we bought licenses worth or subscriptions, but then people are not using it. Okay. So individuals, business, public policy, all are behind in the rate of change. And if you are behind in the rate of change, then agility is something that we are not looking at. Okay. So the findings from this is the gap between the public policy and the domain. Yeah. I mean, this is something that we discussed. Now, consumers are the drivers. Okay. We live in an era. If you look at, or I'm sure you would have heard about the term prosumers. Okay. Now, prosumers is something like the producers and consumers are the same people. I can give you the example of YouTube. Now, YouTube is where the people are viewing it. Okay. And the viewership is generating money for some people. But the producers and the consumers are the same set of people. All right. It's more of like a marketplace. And then we are looking at where the consumers are really driving what is required. And the consumers derive the economics, just like I said, the demand, the supply, the prosumers. They're not just consuming it. Whereas if it had been a product, if it is a car that is being generated, that's being produced. Then the economics says that, okay, there should be a person who uses this car. There should be a manufacturer who manufactures it. That's a traditional model. When it comes to the digital era, we are now looking at a prosumer model. So there is a producer and a consumer who come from the same population, all right? And that's where we need to think ahead of the traditional business. Okay, so that's why I said in any learning organization, it's not about the technology or the process, it's more about people. Okay, so now what is actually happening? Now, if you look at it, the reason why I put a picture of an energy company is because energy company is a place where change happens really, really, really slow. Because ultimately, machinery is a huge capital investment. And it's a depreciating asset. Year on year, there will be in the earnings, it will be a depreciating asset, but then the primary asset still remains the people. But when it comes to digital, we are looking at what can be changed faster. Now markets are talking about what they require, and changes has to be happening really fast. Now when let me give you this example which came to my mind now. When we were small, we saw television, okay, and this particular television was kind of a cathode ray tube. It had a fat projection where it will throw electrons and the particular screen will showcase it. And if this particular television or the cathode ray tube TV had 10 or 15 channels, we were happy. And I'm not sure how many of you remember, but during our childhood days, DD1 and DD2 was the channel that we used to enjoy. Okay, and what used to happen is if it was having a repair, or if it was not working properly, we used to call a person who used to come out, who used to take the motherboard, who used to make sure that the CRT is working properly. Okay, then there is to be a repair. What happened is, as the economy progressed, this concept of repairing doesn't seem to be fashionable for a capitalist economy. You need to consume more and more. And in today's era, I remember like once my television had a straight line, and I was checking for the company whether somebody can come and have a look at it. They said, sir, replacing is beneficial. Okay. And this is a behavior of capitalism. And this will occur in literally every product. Now, if I take software as a product, enterprise level software will be replaced by something which will come as a product. Now, older televisions, now if there is a change, I'm not repairing it, I'm just replacing it. All right. And this replacement is the need of the hour. And similarly, AIs will help us generate product which can be replaced. Rather than repairing, it will be replaced by the gimmick. But are they really mature enough? AIs will need another 10 to 15 years to come to this level of what I'm talking about, that is enterprise level. Okay. Now you want to generate prototype, you can generate prototype. There is tools like Lovable AI where you can generate a prototype, you can showcase them. However, the code that is written behind, that's a black box. Just like I said, in the entire lifetime of a television, nobody would really open it and service it. Okay. The only thing is, repair it, not servicing my friend, repairing. So we will tend to prefer, because the year on year, the cost is coming down. However, when it comes to AI, the cost of tokenization is something that is being overlooked. They are trying to follow the model of Geo. That is, initially when Geo came up with a lot of bandwidth, they were giving it to people for free. People used to consume it, and now the rates have increased. So that is more of yes. Can you explain the enterprise level once again? Okay. So when it comes to an enterprise level software, madam, we are talking about like a SAP system. Now AI cannot replace an SAP system all of a sudden, because primarily two reasons. One is AI is a probabilistic system. Today, what I'm asking, and okay, so before I go to this probabilistic and deterministic system, what you should understand is we are looking at only two potential outcomes, 1 or 0. Okay, and we want software to work. And when I click on a button, I want it to give me the same response every time. Okay, it's not that today the button says okay, I'll work, and tomorrow the button says no, I'm not working, and in between there's a fuzzy logic of 0 and 1 where it says I may work if I like to work. However, AI system is a probabilistic system, madam. Okay, so what happens is if I ask for route to an AI system from Kakanad to Adishankara, Today it might give me a route which says, okay, you go near the airport, or inside the airport, you take that route. Tomorrow, it might say, no, you take another route. Because this particular AI system that we are talking about, it's all AI is not a reasoning engine. AI is a rationalization engine. Okay. I want you to understand this. I want you to internalize this. Because anywhere in, okay, I have now like 62 people. Any group of people, or in your home, you have calculator. In my home, I have calculator. So if I type 1010 into 1010, it will give me 100. Okay. Because it's a reasoning logic that is behind it. It's made out of AND gates, OR gates, all right? But when it comes to an AI system, if I type 1010, it might give me 100 if and only if my LLM is trained on that particular 1010 as numbers. What if 1010 is in your, if you type it in another LLM machine, it can give you 1010 because it sees that it's okay. It's a digital thing, 1010, it's not taking it as a number. I hope that makes sense. So it's not a reasoning engine. People shouldn't or mistake a large language model as a reasoning engine. It is a rationalization engine. How it works basically is, once you train it, it will store the particular data in a two-dimensional vector. There is close to like 15,000 two-dimensional vectors, or 15,000 dimensions which can be stored. So if I am asking something, it is first going and checking. It will first break down the words. It will take it as tokens. It will go and check in its vector database. What is the nearest possible proximity in which I can give a response to this person? And that is where the particular things are collected. And that is where this is being given. There's a paper called Attention is All You Need. And Attention is All You Need kind of speaks about this particular concept. Okay. So I hope I have explained that enterprise level thing to you, Raji madam. And the idea here is, enterprise level softwares requires precision, consistency. And this consistency is not a probabilistic outcome, it is a deterministic outcome. So this deterministic outcome comes when you get a same response every time. Okay. Now, when in the case of a Samsung having AI, Samsung having AI, where you take a photograph, you want your screen to be, or you want your background to have a blue sky. It's a use case, but it's only restricted to one case. Yes, and but it's only restricted to one case. But in this particular one case, the product is becoming the product is being sold. But when it comes to an enterprise level thing, we can't take the risk of that particular, because blue has to be blue. Blue has to be a certain particular digital blue which everybody recognizes, because we are talking about optical card readers using that color. We are talking about different connected systems. And then second thing is, AI mostly is independent in place. Okay. And now organizations as aquarium. What happens currently coming back to the digital transformation. Okay. So if I digress across to AI, if my storytelling skills take me over, please do make sure that you can come back and you can ask me queries. And then coming to the aquariums. Now, the thing in an aquarium is fishes can talk to each other, fishes can see each other, correct? So now what happens inside an organization is also, there is a lot of discussions happening, there's a lot of transparency. Whatever is happening inside can be visible to people, and whatever change is being happening across to people is easily done in a way. Because now what happens is, if something happens in the office at the night, people go and they're talking their LinkedIn. Today I was really happy to meet so and so, etc., etc., etc. And then they will come to understand, okay, then this particular guy came across AI today, this particular guy came across Claude today, etc. Okay, so the relationship is changing, because of which the digital era, or the way in which people are seeing digital, is changing. Okay, now adaptation. As I said earlier, the reason for any change is that we, or the organization, or the society, believes that it is adding value. Okay, now let me ask the question, like, what is a digital transformation? Will somebody be able to answer it? Anybody wants to give it a try? What is digital transformation? Because close to like 45 minutes, we discussed different attributes of digital transformation. But what actually is digital transformation is something that is yet to be defined. So as I said earlier, in our company, moving from an on-premise server to a cloud server, it's a digital transformation. Anything that directly impacts the revenue, or the business model, or the process of a company which has been followed, is a digital transformation, right? Now, Let me split this word into two. One is digital, second is transformation. Now, transformation, as all of you know, we are telling that okay, it's a metamorphosis thing where you are in one state and then you are slowly moving it. Any company that is moving from one channel of revenue to another channel. If you're launching a mobile application, if LIC launched a mobile app too, where people can pay their premium using that mobile app, it's a transformation. Okay, it's a change in way in which people can access them. Now, coming to digital, it's actually change. It is actually coming from the terminology called fingers or fingerprint. Okay. Now, this is what I was talking earlier. Digitization is basically nothing but movement of analog to digital. All right. So if you are able to see a word, earlier we used to have this DTPs, digital text. So from paper to, if you are able to see it, it's digitization. Okay. Now digitalization is the use of digital technologies to change a business model and to provide revenue opportunity. Now digital transformation is applying digital technologies to all the element and make sure that this revenue element is applied to all. And the benefit of digitalization is passed on to literally every element in the organization. So that is the digital transformation aspect of it. Okay. What digital transformation isn't? Just going digital is not digital transformation. Just having one technology is not digital transformation. Okay. And yeah, so it's not to do with the development of new applications and tools. So the connection between technology and transformation is still unclear. The change is the key. Okay, now let me see. So sometimes we measure it in terms of adoption of something. That is, if we say there is a new learning management system in our college, it's a digital transformation by which students were earlier used to submit their assignments physically, but now there's a learning management system in which students can upload their assignments directly. But is this a change? It's definitely a change. Is this digital transformation strategy clear? Yes, digital transformation strategy is clear. We need to use the LMS going forward. So what all comes with it? Now, the thing is, students need to have laptops. Students need to be using laptops in their classes. Students need to be using this thing. So laptops are gaining momentum than the notebooks and textbooks, which are gaining momentum till yesterday. Okay. Now, the goal is not to have a LMS first. This thing. The goal is to have learning. Learning made easier is the goal. If we forget the students and we say that usage of LMS has to happen, then it is where the digital transformation has not been successful. So, but it is ability of to transform organizations' way of working and doing business. Okay. Now, it is about transforming the society, new ways of thinking. It's technological advancement, digital literacy. It's a holistic and system-driven approach. It's about digital capabilities, allowing us to access and see the world in a totally new way out. So it's basically digital transformation is we are looking at a technology, business model, and process to change for the customers and employees. Okay, to change the digital economy as a whole. Now, digital economy is a huge terminology that we are talking about, because what all is in scope, what all is out of scope. However, that comes only once the entire country is looking forward for the same thing. Okay. Now, digital transformation as a process. Now, what is a process? Once we write a code and we have a pull request in place which has to be accepted, that's a process. Once we do something, then for the people to follow that particular process, that is a process. So digital transformation as a process, we need to make sure that the process that is being followed in a historical fashion have to be first unlearned. So once we unlearn this, then only we will be able to make sure that the digital processes follow, or the digital transformation becomes a process. Now, we usually I hear this when companies tell continuous innovation is the only way in which we can become market leaders. But then it is definitely a thought process. But continuous innovation, how can we innovate? I also hear this from research guides, and I also heard this from my research guide multiple times, where he said novelty. You need to bring novel ideas to this. So I mean, when we are doing literature review, we are actually trying to see how we can apply the previous gaps or dents, or how we can address them. But this novelty is something that when all the research guides also tell, we need to know, because their job is to push. They will definitely push us, but then we need to make sure that however being pushed, we are making it a value adding proposition for us. Okay. Now, a successful digital transformation should be customer experience, organizational culture, business model. We need to change the organization as a whole, the process, leadership, and technology and infrastructure. How organizations should start. Yeah. So, any questions so far? Any questions? Okay. Just give me a 1 minute water break. I'll quickly come. Yeah, hello. Yeah. What is the relevance of novelty in digital transformation? See, madam, in digital transformation, you can bring in anything. Okay. So now, I'm not sure if you remember, but there was something called as a Google Glass, which manufacturing domain thought would really help them, because it's more like just a glass, and I touch here, and I'll take a photograph, and then I will Google about it, and they thought this is going to be a really revolutionizing thing. However, if this digital transformation strategy includes a Google Glass for a repair shop, then I need to invest in this particular glass. Okay, now that's a novel idea. I've not been doing that so far. It's a novel idea, but whether it will hit or not. That's why I said the example of learning management system in college. Learning management system in college is a novel idea. Till yesterday, people were using their hands, their pen to write the assignment. All of a sudden, students are expected to upload their assignments. But does this help students to learn more, or does this really are we really harming the students learning ability by bringing in a learning management system in place? Because students will not be able to cope up with it. They will think that, see, the problem with any technology is people tend to find the loopholes first. Okay, so that's the reason, that's the difference between novelty and in a digital transformation. Unfortunately, we will have to make sure that the right value is being seen and the right value is being passed on to our employees as well. So once the learning management system in place, the first thing you should tell is you will check for plagiarism. If plagiarism is caught, then 0 marks. There is learning management system, you can upload your assignment, etc. That all that is possible. However, what you should understand is, if we catch you of plagiarism, then you will be penalized. So that is where the digital transformation is really thinking. Now, digital transformation is a collective effort where we are talking about both inside out and outside in. Okay, and the key is to have detailed analysis in place. And I'm sure all of you would have heard about systems thinking, and where we think about the entire organization as a system, and we that's where the complex engineering comes into the picture. Because when two departments interact and there is a lot of data exchange happening, and this particular data exchange is actually making the system complex. But then when it comes to digital transformation, any digital transformation which is unable to simplify the complexity will really fail, because people will not be willing to move to it. The reason why, okay, let me put it like this. Even in 1990s, there were mobile phones. Okay, even in 1990s, there were mobile phones, but people were not ready to accept them, because I'm not talking about a 200 grams phone in my hand. I'm talking about a 1 kilogram brick which I had to carry to every place. Okay, So that is where the user experience really matters. But was it a phone? Yes, it was a phone. Were they able to talk? Yes, they were able to talk. But electronics had to evolve another 10 to 15 years in order to have a smartphone in place. So that is where we are talking about user experience and then digital transformation. Okay, fine. So where would you start the change in the digital transformation is the actual question. Now, business agility, we because this entire topic is more towards, but before I go with for business agility, whereas I think I have come to the half time. Any questions with respect to digital transformation on anything that we covered, anything that you think is relevant, any examples which you want me to reiterate when it comes to AI? AI is definitely a disruptor, but is it definitely going to transform the business, or what is the difference between disruption is something that is a different topic altogether. But our topic is more towards how can we deal with business transformation using business agility. Any questions so far before we go to business agility mode? Okay, if there are no questions, then business agility is basically now you will see more of project management institute. You will see more of safe scaled agile framework. You will be seeing more of Spotify, the squads, the tribes, etc. Okay, now this particular business agility talks not just about process. Okay, because people, whenever we say okay, agility, agile process, scrum master, 5 ceremonies, the agile manifesto, this is what comes to people's mind. Now what I'm talking to you about is the organization restructuring. And at being in TCS, whenever some restructuring happens, there's something like that we tend to look at. Okay, how are they going to draw our diagram? Is it going to be vertical? Is it going to be horizontal? Because there are very less forms in which you can draw this diagram. Because we have been drawing diagrams since the past 50 years. There are either or this particular diagram or this particular format has been seen somewhere in some picture earlier. Okay, so that is why we look at business organization structure. Okay, now when it comes to the organization structure, only if we are able to put in the organization structure in place correctly, we are able to look at correct leadership, we are able to build the right culture, and then we are able to cater to transformation. Okay. Many businesses think, or many CIOs themselves, to be precise, they think that agility is the key. Yes, but the time to market is where the value and thing rise. Okay. Now, in leadership, there is strategic agility. There is one team mindset, because leadership normally what happens is, I remember in there was one letter from Yahoo CEO to all its employees, because Yahoo became at one point of time so big a company that people were not knowing what is happening in one end and the other end. Okay, there was research happening in the same area. Okay, there was research happening in cameras regarding the optical character recognition, both from a camera perspective as well as from a sensor perspective, in two different parts of the company, without companies knowing each other, without them knowing each other. So there is a letter. This comes from the leadership, which says we are one Yahoo. We need to understand what is happening inside our company. And then operational, there is structural operations, there is enterprise agility, which has to be thought about. And then individuals, there is growth mindset, because only if there is growth mindset, only if there is change mindset, because change is a painful process. Now, if I have to learn, and all of you are attending this faculty development program in order that there is a change that is happening, there is an idea that is put into your head that I need to change. I need to make sure that what is happening in the latest, what is happening latest in the organization is sensitized to me, and this particular change has to be internalized. And only if you internalize this, it will really help you grow. Now, relationship. We need, I mean, when it comes to business agility, we can't just simply, we need to have our workforce aligned with it. We need to have our employees aligned with it. Not just CEO comes in a day one and then he says, okay, let's take this forward. No, even if it be a rocket which we are sending to moon, there needs to be a person inside to steer it, as well as there need to be 100 people outside to monitor it. Okay, so your workforce need to be aligned with what the strategy of your organization is, or what the agility basically means. And then coming to organizational intelligence, we have knowledge management in place, we have the organizational learning in place. Okay, and because this organization learning is something that I hear it on a daily basis, because one pain point, let me tell you, when new people come to my organization, they don't know how to get things done. So this is something which we are looking forward to. So that is something which we look at. Now there are frameworks. As I said earlier, there is scaled agile framework, there is lean startup, there is MVP first model. That is, we first create an MVP where we say whether it's add value, only then we'll beef it up with other. There is Spotify model, there is disciplined agile, there is a lot of frameworks. But this frameworks is more of theory. It's more like telling you have all the ingredients to make sambar, but the sambar that you make will be your own, exclusive rights only to you, and you are not necessary that somebody else who is eating it should appreciate it. Okay, so this is the same scenario where a lot of frameworks, people will tell you how to do it, what to do, etc., etc., but at a later point, it's only how things work. Okay, now coming to business value, current value, unrealized value, time to market, ability to innovate. Value streams. This comes from the SAFE, scale agile framework, correct. So where we have the lean portfolio management, like now we are talking about more than a project. Now project becomes program, and programs becomes portfolios. Now inside a portfolio, we will have to break it down. Now different departments, how they interact among each other, how is the process of interaction between two different departments. Now organizational agility totally depends on the program and the portfolio agility. Now continuous learning culture, because only if you are able to continuously learn, we will be in a position to make sure that the value is derived. And then comes the team and technical agility. Yes, we need to have a technical sensitization so that people get to know that this particular technology is being used, how this technology is used, and then what are the risks of it. Because if we are not, because earlier I remember when we joined, we were given training in mainframes. Now mainframe is a very secure system. We could do anything inside it. I mean, there was no graphical user interface and all. It was all black and white screen, but there was no problem with respect to data hiding. There was because this is more like a closed system, and we were dealing in a Windows machine inside the server. Okay, so the problem is, once this training of these people to open technology like a React.js came, it was totally terrifying, because we are talking about a virtual DOM and different libraries which are available across the internet, and then our communication is happening hayway. That is like we have to encrypt our communication. So all this was a different approach that we had to take. Now, so business agility happens with this particular technical agility. So technical agility is required, organizational agility is required, portfolio management. So all this what you're seeing is part of a scaled agile framework. Fine. And then comes, how do we measure business agility? We need to first, as you see, just like a baby initially crawls, these are all milestones, correct? When a baby crawls, it's a milestone. When he walks, it's a milestone. Then run, then fly. But I'm not talking about running and flying, okay? But just like we measure a baby in terms of its ability to measure agility, we are looking at how we can adapt. We need to make sure that based on business outcomes, we can crawl, and then we can walk, then we can run, and then finally we will be able to fly with the business model. And relentless improvement through culture of learning and expertise. So relentless improvement is kind of a cornerstone for any agile model, be it smaller agile or scaled agile. Relentless improvement comes as a cornerstone. Now collective ownership now shapes organizational strategy. Then MVP testing, the prototype testing is again another business agility model. That is, we create a prototype, we make sure the customer is adding value to customer, then we scale it up. Then other key goals. Yeah. So okay, fine. So now again, coming back to our own definition, like what is digital transformation? Digital transformation is a collection of process, it's a collection of tools, it's a collection of people who come together, and the primary thing being customer experience. Now customer understanding, top line growth, that is realizing, not understanding, realizing, because knowing things and doing things are two different things. All right. And then comes the operational process. We digitize the process, we enable the workforce to walk the talk, and then finally the performance management. And then comes the business model. We need to make sure that the business model is understood and then it is globalized. That is, if you look at it, many mobile applications that we are building now is following the globalization standard so that it is easier for them to scale it up to any country when required. Okay. Now, for successful digital transformation, build a leadership, build a transformation roadmap. We need to adapt and learn, and then identify the key point indicators. Now, coming to the pillars of digital transformation, we have the customer experience, which is the primary pillar. We need reliability, we need speed, we need stability, and we also need agility. But then, is this agility known to customer and known to the end user? No. Agility is totally inside our organization, which helps the business transformation to be known to the end user or add value to the end user. I would say it's more like telling what makes the milk or the tea sweet is the sugar, but we are not able to see it. Okay, so but then it is what makes the flavor, or it's what gives the taste to it. Now, coming to digital ecosystem and the agility for acceleration, automation first. We spoke about automation in terms of like many tools, like especially AI. We say the productivity will increase, and then when it comes to the automation, we are looking at the demand and supply things. But then we shouldn't be compromising quality for the sake of bringing in automation. Now, what happens many times is people will want this technology to be present, but just for the sake of technology to be present, they will inject it, even if they need it or doesn't need it. Okay. Now, this is this you would have definitely seen. Now, let me put a funny conversation in between. Like there is something called as a regimental tradition. And now this so happens that once a new commanding officer comes to a unit, so he sees that a soldier is standing near a bench. He asks the soldier, "What is?" He said, "I am posted to this particular bench, which is the duty for me today." So he said, "Okay, what is the duty?" So he said, "My quartermaster gave me this duty. I am expected to do this." He went to the quartermaster. So he said, "Okay, I understand that you have posted a soldier for duty there. What is the duty?" Then he said, I joined here as a quartermaster only 1 year back. The commanding officer initially gave me a ledger in which this duty was there. Then he called up the commanding officer. Then the commanding officer said, I did not change anything. It was like the commanding officer before me was also had this in the book, and I was there for 5 years. So I gave it to him. Now he called up the previous commanding officer. Previous commanding officer said it was there in the book when it was given to me. So now he called 3, 4, 5 commanding officers. Now the fifth commanding officer who was there before, he is now a retired brigadier. Now he calls up the retired brigadier and he says, "I understand that you had started a duty of a soldier standing near the bench. Can you tell me what is the purpose?" Then that brigadier says, "Oh my God, do you mean to say that the paint is still wet?" Okay, so the idea behind that's a whole joke of regimental tradition. That is, once a report is created, whether it is adding value or not, we send it somehow or the other. We keep on sending it, and this shouldn't be the case, for which we call automation. The report that is being sent, because in our organization we have so many such regimental traditions which adds which doesn't add value, but then we'll just keep doing it for the sake of doing it. Okay, so that is something that we do. And then comes the big data analytics, the cloud. So that's the digital ecosystem and the agility which we have for acceleration. Now, architectural agility, schema, rapid deployment, fast failure, shift left approach. All this you have seen as agility in the case of architecture decision. Then there is test-driven development, there's behavior-driven development, the areas in which we can easily develop or we can easily modify a product. But then it is all dependent on which industry you are. I am totally focusing about the IT industry, but if you are talking about agility in some other industry, just like I said earlier, if you are talking about agility in a electronics manufacturing industry again, asset intensive, machine intensive. Then energy sector, again machine intensive. But in the case of IT or information technology, where things can be changed rapidly, this is what we look at. Now, between business agility and digital transformation, if you look at it, the ownership of living asset, who is it? That is between the digital transformation or the agility, who owns it? Because it's just like telling in our body, for our muscles to work properly, that's the digital transformation. We need the circulatory system, that's the blood to flow to all these muscles and give it nourishment. So the living assets, who is owning it up? Okay, because without muscles, we can't say we are digitally transformed, we are equipped. But for muscles to work, we need blood and the circulatory system to work. Okay, and then comes the test and run culture. There is DevOps, there is custom engagement, then there is user-centric design. So user-centric design is again coming to or pointing towards the customer experience. So comes the hyper personalization, speed of innovation. Again, this is very humorous, because many times we say innovation is required, but we don't have a process for innovation, because innovation usually happens when you don't have a process and you tend to innovate, because it could be any process. But then we have a problem, we have a habit, because we were ruled by Britishers 200 years, and our entire education system is guided on the principle that we are good if we follow instructions. Okay, and we tend to follow that. And however, if you tend to follow only, and if you don't question, you are not innovating, or you don't even have a chance to innovate if you don't question the status quo. Okay, so that is how things work in an agile manner. Okay, then comes the organizational benefits of agility. Customer satisfaction will be more, better ways of working, resilience. Okay, so any questions so far before we move to the next section? I hope all this is not just GAN, right? Because I don't want to be giving you simply frameworks and theory, but then I also want you to understand that a digital transformation is not just a simple quick step buck, but then it's a very painful process, because when we look at people, organizational change management, when we look at process change, there is a lot of things that has to go that way. Okay. Fine. So in organization purpose, once there's a change, what happens? I remember days when my any use cases. Let me check if there is any use cases, because I remember a case when computerization was happening, and my father was working in Trivandrum in Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Science and Technology, and I used to visit there because the canteen used to have good fritters. So what happened is, once I was there, I saw him working in a computer, and I was pretty amazed to see. So I started using it, because he would allow me, and I kind of did a word thing in which I could create a table, and I created 3 boxes, and I created a see. So now when I gave it across to him, he was surprised. He said, "Oh, you can do all this." Then I said, "Yes, this can be done." But then at the very next moment, he said, "Okay, please delete it, because if somebody sees this, they will think that I know to do this. That means my dad knows to know this, and then they will bring all the tasks to him, or they will come asking him for doubts." So that is the organizational thought process or the resistance that creeps in, because not because they don't want to change, but because they are not sure whether, if a response is coming to me, whether am I doing it right, because that was not the process. That is not what the process says. And how am I going to do it is something which we need to figure out. And that is the entire thing in which we call it the people change, the organizational change management. Fine. So I'm not sure how many of you have seen, but then there is this movie of Charlie Chaplin called it's called the Industrial Age, Industry Times or something, where he goes to work in a machine. He goes to work in a shop floor, and it's a really, I mean, there is no dialogues, but then the message is clear. It's more like the changing times or something of that sort. And so in the industrial age, we were consistency of production was what was driving it. Okay, then standardized process. Everybody used to have a set of process. Then safety guidelines, stability, then exploitation of existing advantages. World War II brought a lot of advantages, because that is when we understood that we could produce at such massive scale. And if you look at it, the Industrial Revolution in the 1960s was very soon followed by the World War II that ended in 1944-45. Okay, so any crisis will definitely bring with it an opportunity, and our opportunity, which gave us for the Industrial Revolution, was brought in by a lot of learnings that we had in the World War II. And then comes the discrepancy. Now, discrepancy is when obsolete industrial practices do not work. That is once we tell the employees that okay, they had to. I mean, we had to deal with the manufacturer. We have to produce goods and manual workers and workforce productivity, reduce cost. So, as I said earlier, our learnings are all coming from companies like the manufacturing company. We speak about Toyota production system. We speak about lean manufacturing. We speak about the Six Sigma process. Everything. It all comes from the production industry. However, when it comes to IT, the number of years it took for IT to come into existence is the same number of years, or half of that time is what it will take to disrupt. That is, very soon it will become obsolete. Okay. Now, old models don't work in today's transformed society. Obsolete industrial manufacturing shows their weakness. Today we produce services and experiences. If you look at it, even for cars, earlier Ford used to manufacture cars only in one color, but then different colors, different varieties, different variants. Even if you go for a car now, there is high end, top end, this and that, and you can customize. So this customization and hyper personalization is the certain key now. Okay. Now this is AT&T Bell Laboratories, Bell. Okay. Now post-industrial society, post-industrial era is all about people. This is the experience economy. This is one word where I want you to understand, because okay, now let me put it this way. Now, when you were small, also you used to buy a sack of rice or a packet of biscuit. Now, if you go to Lulu Mall, or if you go to any mall, so it's more of a shopping experience. You go there, and it's not that you are asking a person to give you that, but instead it is an experience of shopping. Some people I have seen just window shopping. They will just go to Lulu. They will just see the price. They will see what offers it brings it. Some people are looking only at. So it is more of an experience that brings with it an economy or a transaction. Okay. So if you're creating a memorable event for an individual customer, then definitely that is what drives. Now, commodities are fungible, goods are tangible, but services and experiences are memorable. So anything that you create, be it a mobile application, be it a website, you need to have the end customer experience in place. Because many times when customers come to me, they say, I'm not able to retain my customer in this particular page more than 5 seconds or 8 seconds. And our job is to make sure that we think from that customer's perspective and get that particular person to stick on between 10 to 15 seconds, because only then we are catching his attention. Okay, so this is something that we are looking at. And in this particular experience economy, earlier we used to have markets and undifferentiated components. Just like I spoke about the Ford car, we did not have any differentiation. And then we had the pricing. We used to make the competition. Different companies used to. Now think about the biscuit market. Parle-G still remains the same. Pricing, there are a lot of companies that came. Then comes the differentiation and premium. Because when the per capita income increased, then differentiation is the need of the hour. And once differentiation is required, then comes the experiences. We are used to television advertisements for our experiences. Similarly, when it comes to this particular experience process, we are looking at. Similarly, when it comes to the experience process, we are looking at a faster and better experience for the customers. If it has to fail, then it has to fail fast. And then after 1 year, or 6 months or 1 year, it may not really work on them. So that is the level in which we are looking earlier. If you look at it, every 5 years or so, Bajaj used to come up, or every 2 years or so, Bajaj used to come up with a new scooter or a bike model. Okay. Now, every 6 months, they have to come up with a model because people are getting bored of their old one, and then competition will take over. And whatever drawbacks you have has to be rectified in that. So that is how it works. Okay. And finally, how can we affect the behavior and drive the change? Now there is a lot of theory, but let me not go into the theoretical elements of it, because it's more of I believe more of what you are looking forward is in an organization. How do we really do it? And there is frameworks like OCAI and all, where we do the survey of the customer, and then the particular framework is derived, and then there is dimensions in which we put it. Now there is inward, outward. Okay, I'll just take you through that. There is external focus as a differentiation. In competitive climates, we do what the stakeholder, and then the internal focus is on environments where competition or customer is not that focused on. Okay. And the second dimension is the flexibility control. Now, when you bring this both together, in flexibility is where the control to the employees and empowered. Okay, that means when it's more like telling, would you choose a mutual fund where I say you can switch the funds in between to a different, or you can switch the money to a different fund based on the performance, or would you prefer to stick on to a mutual fund which says you have only one option? So the more option we give, the flexibility that we give is what we are looking at. And then stability, or we are. Okay. So now the competing value framework emerges, the four quadrants collectively with the four organizational culture types. And this is more like the company, that organization that we are talking about. Organizational effectiveness, if it is inward and if it is stable, that is, if it is not flexible towards ideas, then it is more controlling. And this is something that we use for our companies. What are they? What are they flexible? Are they competing with their competitors, or are they looking for a differentiation, or are they looking for the productive enhancement? So this is something that when you look at your students, are we bringing a change for the benefit, for the flexibility of the company, or for the benefit of the students? All right. So just like I gave you the example of learning management system. If a learning management system is beneficial, then to whom is it beneficial? Is it beneficial more towards teachers? Is it automating the time of the teachers, or is it beneficial for the students who are saving time? Or does it have a flip side where they can copy, and there will be a lot of plagiarism issues? And then at the end, I've seen such cases also. So this is a typical case study which you yourself can bring in, where there is a learning management system, there is a website, there is classes, there is smart classrooms. So smart classrooms are not intended to take off the pressure from the students, because I remember during our school days we had to draw a lot, pencil, pen, draw a lot. Now there is smart classrooms, because of which students, they needn't draw, but in fact they will be given this particular thing, and they can visualize. And that the time taken for the teachers in preparation is reduced, but the impact or the process of teaching is still remaining the same. Okay. I'll not go into the terminology. Yeah, this is the cultural assessment that I was talking about, OCAI. Okay, I think I'll spend the remaining time for a discussion or questions, because the next is more of theory. Yeah, I think with this particular slide, I'll wind up. So the road to digital transformation starts with customer experience. Okay, so we first have to understand the customer, the omni-channel seamless experience. Now, omni-channel means multiple channels, not just website, but mobile app also. Whereas now we are talking about wearables, that is interaction through your watch, interaction through your headphones, interaction through voice command. Okay, and then the streamlining customer process. Then comes the operational model. If we digitize the process, then the performance management, then comes the operational governance, then the business model. What is the value that we are configuring, and how are we configuring it? And then in order for this value to reach the end user or the people inside the organization, how are we restructuring the organization? What all changes from the past has to be removed. And then strategy. Now, short-term gimmicks is also seen as a strategy, but that is not the case. Now, leadership and capability. In order for all this to work, you need a very strong leadership who can push. And this particular pushing is defining the skill and training needs. Okay. And technology, if you see why the technology is at the last, because based on the need of the business, based on the domain need, based on the customer experience need, that is where we decide on the technology. Okay, so that's the digital transformation ultimate aim. So I think with this, let me not overload you with a lot of information, but I'm open to questions. If there is any, I can take up any questions, post which I can give back to you time also, so that you don't have to worry about. Yeah. So any questions so far from whatever we discussed?
Dear participants, the platform is now open for questions and discussions. Participants are welcome to ask their questions now. You can even put in your queries in the chat box.
Well, first of all, I want to know whether has this session been useful, or this has just been another, I believe, 90 minutes of theory overload. Thank you, Shanima. Yeah, any feedback is also openly welcome, because this topic was really wide, and I did not know where to start from or where to give. But I believe adding of case studies would also have been any architecture reference for any industry domain. So, sir, we use like a scaled agile framework or Spotify framework for business transformation. Now, if you ask me, it all depends on how much the existing organization is, or our customer organization is ready to accommodate. Now, if they don't have any problem with the tribes, if they have sufficient people, then we run with the Spotify model or the scaled agile framework, which has been in place for a long time. So you just need to Google it out. So there is a lot of existing models which we can utilize for bringing in the business agility to the organization. Let me see if I can give you. Yeah, so in this particular, I'm just sharing you a link. Sir, we are using LMS, but we are not able to transform effectively. Okay. Now, okay. So, 1 second. Let me just. We are not able to transform effectively. How can we apply hyper-personalized learning and teaching with digital transformation? Okay. Very good question, madam. Now, first is, we brought in learning management system, but we are not able to transform. Now, the question is what are the KPIs? Like, what all did you target when you implemented the learning management system? Is it like a reduction of time for the students, or is it like we want the students to submit because I remember when we were doing our during our MBA days, they had brought in a learning management system called Moodle. Now they brought Moodle in place so that at night 12 o'clock when you submit an assignment, if it is 12:1, then we will not accept. If it is 12, but the purpose is, it did not check whether it was a copy or so. So what we used to do is, even if at 11:55 we could take any junk and put into it, but then it used to allow us to revise. So that failed. But now the question is, how can we hyper personalize? Now hyper personalization totally depends on if whether the learning management system is allowing your students to do research, because there are people you definitely have a library in place. And I'm sure library is one of the most underutilized places these days in any college. However, if there is a lot of research coming in, then the digital library integration with the learning management system is something that you can definitely think about. So this becomes a hyper personalization on its own, where there is even research material. So if I was taking a session for Vidya Academy for a faculty development program, so what I said is, we are not living in an era where students are struggling for information. We are living in an era where we have to innovate to bring the students to internalize the information. So how do we do it is, we give them challenges. We can give them or ask them to write a paper based on what they understood, so that it comes from themselves, so that the idea comes from themselves. It's, I mean, what our education system fails to do is to instill a confidence on the students that they can fail in a classroom if an idea is wrong, because we are only used to being right. We are only used to, there is only incentive or credits for replicating answers. There is only incentive for doing what is right. There is no incentive for doing what is wrong. There is no incentive for thinking. Everybody wants innovation and novelty, but nobody nobody hesitates to criticize if something goes wrong. Okay, I believe that is my response, ma'am. I hope you will be able to come up with some innovative ideas, as in the integration of library to LMS, or usage of LMS. Now, what will happen is, if you bring in a policy like LMS should be used for 3 hours a day, then students will simply find a way around it, so that it is not fruitful. So that is where we have to do the design thinking, or we have to get them to sell it. It's more like telling, if you want to sell something to the mothers, target the kids. Okay, so the toy in the Kinder Joy is what makes the kids buy it. Similarly, if you push it to them, they will follow it to a certain extent, but they will not enjoy it. And you will only remember things that you enjoy. You can recollect the story of a movie, but you will not be able to recollect uh, the story that the theory that we studied in class. Okay. I have a question from Kumaraswamy sir. By existing SDLC, we understand waterfall, spiral, RAD, okay, agile, but I'm not getting the clear structure of modern agile because it's loaded with large number of terminologies. Okay. Now, when you say modern agile, okay, 1 minute. Let me. Okay. Now, the first thing that comes when it comes to modern agile. Okay, let me just share my screen. So it's more like telling, we have a lot of this thing in place. That is, we have a lot of jargons in place, just like you said. But in modern agile, what we are basically looking at is making the people, that is the end user, that's the customer centricity that we talk about, sir. Okay, and in order to have this customer centricity, we need to first understand, we need to segment them, we need to personalize it. Because earlier we used to say, okay, if I remember a customer coming to me and telling, we need to make sure that our website is interacting with 4 separate segments of people. That is, they want to book a ticket. Now, Gen Z people, they want to catch in a different way. Pilgrim people are all 40 plus, they want to catch in a different way. Okay, and then 50 plus. But now there is another customer, another retail customer who comes to me and say, for every 10 years of gap, they are considering it as a generation. So making people, or making the people feel wow, is actually totally a different thing altogether, because we need not just systems thinking, we need design thinking in place. The customer experience is the key, customer centricity development is the key. Okay, and then we'll make sure that the remaining things form around. So that is what we are looking forward to. But other than that, inside industry perspective, there is only pros and GAN that we give, and more than this, there is nothing with respect to a just like you said, there is all terminologies and gimmicks that they put, but we follow scale and this thing as a process. Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else you want to add or any questions you have. If not, I'll give you back the 30 minutes time, because I believe it has been more of a roller coaster ride where see, and one more thing which I want you to understand is academics has a lot of theories, but then not all theories are really applied in the industry, because we follow customized theories. Like even if it is in agile, we follow our own anti-patterns as we call it. So I mean, different theories come up in different ways, because whatever you see as a latest in the market. See, that's why I was talking to you about hype cycle. Let me give you an example of hype cycle. Now, hype cycle has a lot of. See, I'm just sharing my screen. So, in a hype cycle, we have a yeah. What you're seeing currently is a hype cycle. Okay. Now, in a hype cycle, just give me a minute. Yeah. So, if you see in a hype cycle where there is expectations against the productivity, okay. Now, sorry, expectations against time. My bad. X-axis is time, and this particular graph is divided into 5 separate. Now, I'm talking about the Gardner's hype cycle. Okay. Now, any point in this, there can be an innovation. Okay, and this innovation is the initial trigger that's a trigger that allows it to scale. Now here it can be agentic AI. Okay, and here it can be, now agentic AI is at the peak of inflated expectation. Now agentic AI will be here, composite AI will be here. Okay, and but the only thing is, what you should understand is, only once the dust settles, only once the noise comes down, after this trough of disillusionment, and this is the sustainability part. Okay, so that is where the real business adopts the product, be it a modern agile or be it old agile or scaled agile or anything. It will scale up only if there is adopters. Only if company adopts modern agile, then we'll be able to bring out valuable products. If not, it is just the peak hype. If you look at it, agentic AI is in the peak of hype now, but at a later stage, we do not know. But a later, now composite AI, it is somewhere here. But whether it will climb to here, yes, it might climb. AI is training AIs, but with respect to reasons where we can scale up, or where we are in a position to gauge if this particular technology will scale up here or not. The technology will add value to, be it business transformation or be it business, it only if it comes to this particular slope. Okay, so that is what happens. All right, so that is with respect to hype cycle. So next time, whenever students come to you and ask, should I build a career in AI, think twice, look into the hype cycle, because next 4 years, 5 years may not be there. I was reading Malayalam Manorama news yesterday, where it said students who have done AI in their +2 are unable to find courses in their graduation, because Kerala University and MG University are not permitting that, because without maths and computer science, they cannot allow people to come to AI. Okay, I think nothing else from my end. If everything is good, then we can wind up for the day.
I hope the questions and queries are cleared. Dear participants, if you have any more queries, you can ask now.
I need to drop out now. Anything else? Feel free to ask.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable industry experience and your practical insights into agile methodologies and modern software development practices. Thank you so much for that informative session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dear participants, the feedback link has been shared in the chat box. Kindly complete the feedback form before 2 p.m. We'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow with a new topic. Thank you, everyone, for your active participation. Have a great day. Kindly complete your feedback form, which has been pasted in the chat box. Thank you, everyone.